Good afternoon. I'll get you the injury update here. So Taylor Rapp will not practice. He's day-to-day. He's a hip. Christian Benford remains in concussion protocol. He'll be limited with that. And then Matt Milano will be limited as well with some hamstring soreness. With that, I'll take your questions.
Sean, I know the approach this week will be treat it like another game and the same thing you've been doing all year. What partners have to do this week when everybody knows what's on the other side of a win this week? I know that the approach this week will still be treat it like another game.
Yeah.
How much harder is that to do this week when you know what's on the other side of a win?
Yeah, we've got to take them one game at a time, just like the regular season, and stick with our process and be consistent with it, quite honestly.
Is it harder to do, though, considering the circumstances and the stakes this time?
I think when you know who you are and you know what works for us, it's a lot easier. If you have to adjust things this time of year, then it gets more difficult, perhaps. But we've been taking the same approach rather consistently all season.
I won't take credit for this, but somebody said this. I think it was Nate Geary, for that matter. But is this team not afraid to lose? If you know what I'm getting at, there seems to be a fearlessness about this team where it doesn't just go out there and not be afraid to lose. Is that where we've gotten in this whole thing? Well, in your progression.
I mean, it's a mindset like we've talked about numerous times in here, right? And I think there's some truth to that. In order to win, you can't be afraid to lose, and I think those two go hand in hand.
Sean, I know you played them a lot and played them in the playoffs, but in 2020 it was the championship game. What do you remember from that game, and what are your thoughts on it now, this many years later, going back for that?
Yeah, what a change of just what's going on in our world. With the COVID situation at that time, and I think there were some fans allowed in the stadium, if I remember correctly, and we had some Buffalo representation there as well, even though I think it was limited capacity or limited seating. So this one will be a little bit different, right? So just from a crowd standpoint, and I'm sure we'll have a great number of Buffalo people there as well.
Sean, what does having fans in the away stadium do for you guys in that environment?
Having our own fans there? Yes. Oh, it's huge. We've gone on the road, we've played at home. Our fans travel everywhere and anywhere that we play. So we've got the best fans in the NFL, and just love. I think that the connection with our fan base, as I've said multiple times over, is unique in the NFL.
Sean, can you quantify just how good your offensive line has been this year? Because obviously Sunday it's going to need to be really good against this team with their blitzing, but just how good has that line been?
They've been great. They really have. Led by Connor, at the center position, and having those guys pretty much all season long working hip to hip, side by side all year. Has been tremendous for our offense and for our team, and I just can't say enough about their brotherhood, their camaraderie, if you will. I think that just it fosters into the rest of our team.
What, if anything, can you draw from Week 11 and beating them?
That game stands alone, as this game will. So as you saw with our experience last week, these games are individual of each other.
Sean, you mentioned the fans. Your defense of the city the other day was really appreciated around here. And I was just wondering, since then, has anybody said anything to you about how much they really did appreciate that, whether it was someone at the gas station or anybody you may have...
Yeah, I haven't gotten gas between then and now. But it's a good reminder for me. I'll stop either tonight or tomorrow night, maybe Friday night, and get some gas. No, it's I've gotten a couple texts. I'm not really going through and checking all my messages right now, but that's what I genuinely feel. This is a place that has embraced me and my family since we moved here 8 years ago, and it feels like home. And I'm defensive because I love the people, and I think people who don't know Buffalo. It's because they haven't spent time here to appreciate and respect what really goes on here, and that's just not Orchard Park. It's beyond Orchard Park. So that's truly how I feel about it.
I know Beal Inspector has had 4 games on IR. Can you just give us an update on where he is? Do you plan on having him designated to return at all this week?
We'll see. Taking it one day at a time, and he looks like he's moving in the right direction, so we'll see.
In terms of coaching ball security to your team, can you talk a little bit about how you do that, and do you do it to defensive players as well? I'm just kind of referencing the way Von Miller held onto the ball. It might be the best example of ball security you've had all season. Just tell us a little bit about how it's coached to all the players.
Well, it's something that we try and do every week on all 3 sides of the ball. Never taking it for granted, I think, is the key for us. We're somewhat old-fashioned in the way that we approach practice, perhaps, focusing in on the fundamentals. That's really what I think it's one of the big stepping stones to playing at a high level is the fundamental approach to the game.
From the first game to now, they've got Pacheco back, they've got Brown back at the receiver. Hopkins has been there a while now. How different is this Kansas City offense, do you think, compared to the one you saw here in November?
There's some things that are similar. There's certainly some things that are different personnel-wise for sure. And conceptually, some of the things that they're doing. A very talented team and a lot of speed on the field, and it makes sense in terms of how Andy's been able to lead that offense for a number of years now, and for this team that we're going to play to have the success that they've had. It's incredible. I'm sure there's a lot that goes with all that success. Just an incredible collection of talent and scheme.
Sean, we talked a lot about how you and this team has kind of changed and morphed over the several years since you've been the head coach. How about Kansas City? How have you seen them kind of change over the last 5-6 years to now?
Yeah, I think that's probably not as appreciated as it should be, just how one team is able to sustain success in such a highly competitive year-to-year, week-to-week league like the NFL. And that is a great example of, continuing to evolve over time, trying to stay out in front of trends, roster-wise, personnel or scheme-wise, coaching-wise. And so that's always what we're trying to do, and I think that's helped us as well, is continue to drive every year of what can we do better, and where's the league going, and how can we continue to stay out in front.
Matt, do you have an outlook after talking with the training staff, and did that injury happen when he came out at the end of that game?
There was some soreness afterwards, but I don't know if it's an injury or not. It's just, what I'm being told is hamstring soreness, and so he'll be limited today with that.
Preparing for a team like the Chiefs that you've played so much over the last few years, is it at all like preparing for a divisional opponent where they know you so well, you know them so well? Like, what element does that play in preparing for this one? We've played each other multiple times now. Initially when we first arrived here, we played in 2017, my first season out there, and then didn't play there was a gap in there of time. And then it seems like, when you have 2 good teams, two good organizations, that you kind of see each other frequently now. So we have a lot of respect for them.
Sean, you talk about all the things that have changed for both teams, really. But one thing that hasn't is Mahomes to Kelsey. But from your perspective, has that changed at all, the way they do things? Because it obviously has worked for them.
Does that change?
I said the way they operate. Those two.
Oh yeah, they're incredible. Just their relationship, their rapport. They've been doing it, especially Kelsey for some time. Even before Patrick got there. So, just an incredible duo and connection between those two.